Divorce shows something that is broken, like a broken relations or broken relationships. And some marriages they don't actually have kids right away, and some of them they do. So it still affects them. It's um, with the kids. It's even you know more of a wider thing that's going on, like a wider discussion, a wider feeling of hurt and betrayal. And dealing with these relationships, I feel like that there is like some type of betrayal that could have taken place. Not to bring up personal specifics, but and of course there are many books and stories that are probably out there, and you probably have heard it all. You looked into it, or you can look into it if you're interested in finding out what does the marriage do. And it can make relationships feel awkward between the two people who thought that they were so close, and now even with the children looking up and saying, hey, especially if they were being raised in the same home, because this day and time kids are not even being raised in the same home as the parents, and it's just very awkward with that too. But if they're so used to being with the parent, both of them, once they see the parents being apart, it's kind of awkward for the children, and it makes them probably feel uncomfortable. Like, why doesn't mom and dad like each other anymore? What's going on? I would like to have a mom and dad that would stick together. Why can't they get along? Why don't they like each other anymore? Why won't they just work things out so that we can all be happy? And everybody wants a happy story or a happy style of living. Um, the thing about it is that the couples they used to do things together. Sometimes now they stop. They enjoy spending time together. They enjoy each other, and it just stops. And now it's not the same. And so I'm sure that you know, affecting the kids, this could be very scary for them, especially if this what they're used to, having mom and dad around, and making the children feel left out, like they don't have a choice to say anything in the matter. So when they can't have anything to say in it, I guess that maybe could be very hurtful to them, or hurtful in some type of way, um, and difficult. So it can also be kind of embarrassing, once you think about it, and how the couples are not really working together like they're supposed to. And I guess they're thinking, hey, well, we're both adult. We don't have to do it. Each separate mind of the mom and the dad is thinking, hey, I don't have to listen to you. I don't like what you're saying. I don't have to do what you say. And, in a relationship, you got to kind of treat them like that they're an adult. And it's kind of difficult if you're not on the same page, and that could be something that could make it close to having a divorce, when you get these strong feelings and you're like, hey, you're gonna stick with it, or it's just gonna just tear this marriage apart. And can you just picture that? As I was talking about it, I was thinking about a line of a big piece of paper standing there in front of me, and I say, hey, it looks comfortable, it looks good, and then I just rip through it and just go through it and just tear it apart and say, hey, I don't want to be a part of this paper anymore, and just move it out of my way. And it's like, with marriage, you've already put in your papers, you sign your papers, you actually said that you would be committed to them for better or for worse. So somebody seems to have been lying there, and maybe both of them, the husband and the wife, and they say, "Hey, I thought you said you will be with me for better or for worse, for this and this and that and this and that." And you're like, what happened to those vows that's supposed to be sacred, that's supposed to be very important, that we can teach the children uh, to do the same thing? So, what happened to those vows that were quoted, on that very special day that you rushed down to get married, put on that beautiful dress, or you went down to town to get married and you didn't have maybe a special wedding? You're like, hey, is it possible that someone could say, hey, I changed my mind, this is not what I want? And what do? Because after you decided to get so used to each other, you're revealing secrets to each other, and now you two are becoming like one. And so you are becoming one. And what happens? Somewhere there's a mix up somewhere. So you're like, how do you explain what's happening? And of course this is very embarrassing. And you're like, it's too late. I already let people see the side of me that wasn't right, and that side, and whatever else that you have did, plus, just ripping them vows apart. Like, wow. And um, how do you express this to everybody? Everybody's getting used to your mate. Now you're switching sides, and everybody's meeting each other's family, and it could be very awkward. Like, if you ever think about it, like, oh, the sisters and brothers say, hey, you don't like my brother anymore, or they could say, hey, you don't like my sister anymore. What's going on? What is going in the minds of everyone, that's being involved? You got the sister-in-laws, the brother-in-laws, you got the mother-in-law, the father-in-law. Then you got all of these other people, and they're like, what are they thinking about it, or they're just too busy with their own thing? It could be, wow. But most importantly, the children, what are they thinking? Are they thinking, how could this happen? Why can't my mom get along and my dad get along with each other like some of the other married people, so that we can have a dad? And now when we come around them, all they do is say, hey, we have a dad and mom. And look, the thing about it is that, have you ever heard of these stories where people say, hey, I'm going to fight over this kid? They actually do the split up, and then the parents are fighting over the kids, and you're thinking like, hey, this is not a toy, this is an actual real kid. What are you two going to do? How can you all come together and share the child without all of the conflict and confusion? And I think that's the worst part of the, well, I mean, one of the worst parts of the breakup of this sacred marriage. um I don't even know how to begin to talk about what is starting this. Is it, money? Is it, less attraction, no more attraction of the person? What is going on? They can't just agree with each other. Because, see, when you come into marriage, you want to be able to agree with somebody. Have you ever just thought about, hey, if everybody in the world was just like me, or all me, I get along with them? And I think I've heard a couple of people saying that, and it's true. You'd be like, hey, this is if you really like yourself. You're gonna say, hey, if everybody in the world was just like me, I get along with them. My marriage wouldn't be over. This and this and that. I wouldn't have a person in the world to not get along with. So you're thinking like, wow, It's at the time how they're thinking. And then I don't know if you've ever heard of this, and then some people meet and they really regret having their divorce. But the sad part is people move on so quickly. And I'm going to tell you, I think that people move on so quickly into the next relationship because they feel like it's not fair. I shouldn't have to wait on my husband. I should have to wait on my wife and say, hey, I'm going to get with him, but I'm going to move on because I have needs too. And that need is to be in a relationship. This is what I desire. This is what I want. And I'm ready to move forward to another relationship. And sadly, it happens. And then the next time I realize that some people get into a relationship and then that relationship don't work out. So then they let go of their relationship. They don't actually remarry. Some people do. And then they just move on to another relationship. And then you find yourself moving from this relationship to the next relationship to the next relationship until you're trying to find the right person. And you're like, what's going on? Why can't I find somebody? So you don't never stop and think it's you, and you don't stop and say it's you. You're like, wow, they're not giving me what I want. Why is it so hard to give me what I want? Am I asking something so difficult in a relationship that people can't understand that this is the way I want my relationship to be? And that seems to be where the problem is. Because people don't understand where you want your relationship to be, how you want it to be, what you want it to look like. Because once you're in a relationship, people on the outside can see whether it's going good, whether it's going bad, whether it's just looking so great, and how is it, what all of the things that you're doing. Because I'm sure there are different types of labels that you can label in a relationship, that when you see people together, you're like, hey, that's the best couple. Oh, this couple looks really great together. And it happens. Then you say, well, we got the odd couples. This one over here, they don't look like they should ever be together. They don't even sound like or seem like, that they should be together. So it's a lot. Dealing with relationships is very important, and it's you're setting a structure for yourself. And sometimes things change, and then the more, this is what I realize in relationship, and with age, things change. You start thinking differently. People mature at different levels. So it's not that everybody's bad, because see, the first thing people are gonna say, hey, we're you saying I'm no good, that's why our relationship didn't work. No, what I'm trying to tell you is that you weren't good for the relationship, not that one, or any of the other ones that you tried to work in. It just, you want to be in a relationship that's going to make you feel comfortable. How can you have a relationship that you can't be comfortable in? And let me tell you something. When you marry someone, you're saying that it's something in this relationship that you like. This is what both of the parties are saying. Both people are saying, hey, when I get in a relationship, this is what I want. And I'm not going to deny it. But when the divorce comes, you're like, I can't believe that this is happening. And it could become shocking to people. Like, what is going on? Why are you acting this way? And that's why I said, with age, you're acting different, you're sounding different, you're saying different things. People change up too much, people change up too quick. In relationships, you can't do that. You need to know what it is that you're wanting in a relationship. You can't just make it up as sometimes of course, you got to make it up as you go. But what I'm saying is, for the most part, let them know what you're going to be like. And so that's what people are having the problems at. And the kids are looking like, you know, what, we can't do anything. We can't say anything. They're underage. So they're underprivileged. They can't say anything. They can't say, hey, mom, dad, y'all got to stay together. And I'm sure that sometimes they do, but what is that doing? So now you got to worry about father rights, mother rights. These people are actually going to court with each other, and it's sad because they don't want to have to do these types of things. You know, And the kids are like, what's going on? What's happening to my life? What's happening, to the things that we used to have. And we had such a happy home. What is going on? Who and why? Who can explain to us why my family is breaking apart? Because the kids, they were showing balance. Uh, they don't understand why parents split up. And of course, as I've said before, it could be very upsetting and awkward. And this is not just for the children, this is for everyone. What does the wife parent, get to say? Or grandparents? What do they say? You know? And then when you're dealing with religion and people who are religious, what do they say? How can they watch you move forward from relationship to relationship when they want to tell you, hey, well, you're supposed to stay in your marriage. You can't, really get married to anyone else. And you're like, well, I can't do it. I can't make this happen. Something isn't going right. What do they really say? How awkward is it for them? And are they being penalized if they don't say anything to you about it? How can someone help you keep your marriage together knowing that this is what you're supposed to be doing? So know that some couples become jealous and they don't want to talk anymore. I'm talking about after the breakup. See, after the breakup, you're like, okay, well, at least we can as much as get along together and talk and act civil in front of the children. And it don't happen that way all the time. It just don't. It doesn't mean that they're immature. It just means that they're hurt, upset, and they're tired. So you got to kind of look at it that way, and as some people probably don't. So what actually is causing the couple to break up? That's the issue, because that's what's the disturbing part of the divorce, because it had to be some type of something, pressure to make the relationship go under or break up. It's really, really sad. Because it's more than a breakup, because I don't, I'm, I'm trying to see what's the word for it, because there was an attachment between these people that are, to be considered important, especially to the children. Because what makes it awkward is the kids love both parents. And so what happens when people from the outside come in and start talking about mommy? What do the kids feel? And people on the outside comes and start talking about dad. What does this person feel? You think that they're not going to go and have a conversation about what's going wrong, because see, all of this is behind closed doors. They need someone to talk to. So what do people do? They go and talk to their friends, and everybody puts their input in, and then you kind of feel and you kind of get a sense of what everybody's thinking about the relationship, and you're like, what have I done? I told people what's going on, and now they're reacting. And so you're like, well, the kids can actually see this too. So wow, what are these people really thinking about my parents? And I can't believe that they can go into this, and saying so much about my parent without trying to help them. Because the second thing is that people are going to want to say, hey, who's helping this relationship? And is it fixable? Is it helpable? Can you really help them? All right. So I just wanted to come in here and then talk about, basically what divorce does to a family. And that's very important. Once you get into relationships, you realize that, look, it's not a game anymore. It's becoming serious. You're like, hey, they're just for the young couples, you're like, that's just puppy love. They're not, nothing's going on. They don't really care. They don't have that many feelings. So let's just move on And it's not about that. It's about caring about the feelings of the people who are in the relationship, because they're going to have some type of feeling about it. And when everybody's saying this and saying that, what do you do as that other person that's going through this divorce? Maybe you haven't gotten a divorce yet, maybe you have, and you're like, I want to try to see what I can do to stop this divorce. I've even heard of people who have been divorced turn back around and get married. So I was like, wow, how do you do that? And what actually makes that possible in a relationship, in a marriage? You just want someone to appreciate you anyway, and everybody is or are not, they're not a relationship expert. So you got to think about who you're getting your advice from. Okay. So I'm not trying to step on any toes, because I know that everybody say, hey, I got something important to say, and I think this is this and this is that. I'm not stepping on your toes. I'm not telling you how to do your things. I'm just telling you that when it comes to a marriage, it's very important. It's different than just a boyfriend and girlfriend, because, of course, that's where it's starting out at. They say that you're coding or something like that from back in the old days, and you think about it and you're like, what do I really want to say for this couple, uh, and being a part of it? So don't feel bad if you think you're giving someone some bad advice or this and that. You were just trying to help. You didn't know what to do either, and it probably came to you just as a surprise as it did to them. So, um, I want to tell you that these emotions are setting in when it comes to this divorce. You're going to have people upset. You're going to have people sad. You're going to have people feeling miserable. And nobody wants to feel miserable when emotions set in. Actions take place. Anger can take place. Even betrayal. And this is what they don't want. So you just think about all of the emotions going around, from friend to family to son to daughter to cousins to all neighbors, and all of this stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot. So my thing that I could say to you, if you're going through this, I'm sorry. If you are actually dealing with divorce, also, just dealing with these relationships, you're thinking like, I don't want everybody in my business. Why is everybody having an input? Why do they feel like it's so important? And these emotions can be real. This can be real because you're thinking like, why are they disrespecting me? This and that. Why won't they just, let us be? And, basically, I understand this because they're adults and they know what decision that they want to make. And at the end of the day, they're the ones that's going to make that decision anyway. So you're like, are the right people being involved with putting their input in, and are they saying the right thing? I also think that couples, like when they're going through divorce and say, I'm going to get with somebody else, and boom, now I want to be back with you, they start thinking, hey, something's contaminated here. You've been with somebody else. This is some kind of contamination. And that could be uncomfortable. Probably, especially with the person that feel like it's not their fault because of the breakup, and they don't seem that it's fair. Okay, so another thing is, what happens if there's an actual splitting in a relationship, and the wife has kids with someone else and the husband has kids with someone else? Now you have to bring in other families, and I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to make you upset, make you feel embarrassed or shame or sad. You know, a lot of people go through this, okay? And I won't call it normal. I will just say that it normally happens. So, as for me, I have experienced the same thing. So, I have children with different dads because I didn't have patience to wait on anyone in a relationship. I want, when I'm in a relationship, to have it the way I want right then and there. So, yes, I have children with different dads. They get along great, and I would not want to change that for anything in the world. I think that they are wonderful children. So, my thing is how do you go back to a relationship after that, though? All right, thank you. That's the end of my talk of this video. Hopefully, you can come back and discuss a little bit more. Please post your comments. It is what it is, and we all have to move forward sometimes. Thank you.